Hey y'all, I'm Melissa Guerra. I am the kitchen wrangler, and today we're going to be making some pineapple empanadas that have a beautiful vanilla glaze on them. And speaking of glaze, I think I look like a glazed donut. I am sweating here in my new studio, and I love my new studio, but the air conditioner is not quite where it should be just yet. So I need to get another air conditioner because it is so hot in here. In this video, I'm making a pastry with butter, and you will see it melts quite a bit, but I can show you how to fix that. So if you stay tuned, I also wanted to let you know that in future videos, I'm going to be adding a little bit more food history to my videos because it's really what I geek out over. I love food history. I especially love the food history of the Americas. You know that I live here on the border of Texas, right at the point where English ends and Spanish begins. And for me, this is the most exciting place in the world because I get to see everything that happens in the United States and I get to see everything that happens in Latin America. It is the coolest in terms of learning about food history. So I invite you to subscribe. Yes, please. Subscribe and join along as I geek out over food on a weekly basis. But let's get into these pineapple empanadas because they tell us so much. Now, for y'all that don't want to geek out, don't worry. I'm going to put a timestamp down below in the comments. So if you want to click right on through to the recipe, y'all can get out of here and start cooking. But if you want to hang around and talk a little bit about the backstory on this food, I'm here for you. So let's get started on these pineapple empanadas. First, we need to make our dough. And we're going to make a very buttery dough, which is terrific. But like I said, in hot temperatures, butter melts really, really quickly. So we need to keep our butter really, really cold. I cut the butter up into little cubes yesterday, and I put them in the freezer and they froze overnight. So that's what we're gonna start with. And I added a little bit of vegetable shortening to the butter mixture because that'll give a little bit more stability to our crust. Add your butter to a mixing bowl, and then we're going to add flour. I'm using an old-fashioned pastry stirrup. I love it. It's low tech. It always works. But if you don't live your life in the slow lane like I do, if you live in the fast lane, you can definitely use your food processor to cut that butter into the flour and make sure that it gets into these little nugget sizes, just like a coarse meal. You don't want it to be powdery, and you don't want really large chunks. You want it to be about the size of like a green pea. Add a little bit of salt. Now that the flour and butter are cut together perfectly, we're going to add some ice water. And the reason we add ice water is because that cold temperature preserves the nugget size of that butter. We don't want to make a paste. Even though this is called pastry, it is not a paste. We're making a meal, if you understand. We have little nuggets of butter broken up with flour, and that's going to give us a really, really flaky pastry. Add just enough ice water so that the pastry pulls into a cohesive mass, and then we're going to put that dough in a piece of wax paper and pop it into the fridge for an hour. While we're waiting, let's get started on the pineapple filling. Remove the top and the bottom of the pineapple, and we're going to remove the rind, we're going to remove the core, and we're going to chop it into small tidbits. Now, this recipe is specifically for fresh pineapple. If you can get a fresh pineapple that already has the top and bottom removed, that's fine, but don't use canned pineapple because we're doing this absolutely fresh. Place the pineapple in a mixing bowl, and we're going to add some sugar, and we're also going to use instant tapioca as the thickener. Now, instant tapioca, you can find it in most supermarkets, and yeah, it's the stuff that you make tapioca pudding with, and it originates from the cassava root. It's a great thickener, and I like it a little bit better than flour or cornstarch because it makes the filling kind of clear and jelly-like, and it kind of has like a boba tea sort of texture once you finish baking the empanada because those little tapioca, it's like tapioca pudding. You keep those little bits in there. If you don't want that boba tea texture, you can always get tapioca starch. Works the same way. Stir the pineapple, tapioca, and sugar together, and what'll happen is that the juice will start coming out of that pineapple. That's terrific because it's gonna soften up the tapioca, and you wanna let it sit there for about 20 minutes. Now it's time to shape the empanada. Take your refrigerated dough out and divide it into portions. And because my studio is so doggone hot, I'm gonna use some extra flour, and it doesn't matter how much flour you use. That will help keep the dough from sticking. The other thing that I do when I make empanadas is I use my tortilla press, which, as you can tell, it's pretty old and beat up, but it still works. However, you need to cut 2 pieces of plastic, and those work as liners for your tortilla press, and then you can press out and remove your tortillas very easily. So in order to get the empanada out of the tortilla press easily, 2 things, like I said, you need the plastic inserts and you need a lot of extra flour. So let's flatten out that dough, add a spoonful, about a spoonful and a half of the pineapple filling, and then place your empanada on a piece of parchment paper that is on a cookie sheet. Once all of the empanadas are filled, then we're going to crimp the edges together with a fork and pop them in the oven. While we're waiting for the empanadas to bake, let's make that vanilla glaze that we need for the top. I need a little bit of powdered sugar, and I'm gonna scoop out a little bit of the pineapple juice, and we're gonna use that as the liquid in the glaze. I'm also using a whole vanilla bean for the flavoring. Now, if you don't have a vanilla bean, that's fine. You could use vanilla extract, but because we're not cooking this glaze, it's gonna have a little bit of an alcohol flavor because the alcohol is not going to cook out as we would in any other cooked dish. So if you don't want that alcohol flavor, you can absolutely skip the vanilla altogether, but I really, really love the vanilla seeds in this glaze. Totally worth the effort. Now that the empanadas are out of the oven, we've let them completely cool, and we're going to glaze them with that vanilla glaze. Just drizzle it over the top. One of the benefits of making this glaze is that you can, I love licking the bowl. It is so good. I love those vanilla seeds. Such a beautiful natural vanilla flavor. So like I said, I'm gonna be adding a little bit more food history to my videos because it is what I absolutely geek out over. And what I love about this pineapple empanada recipe is that it shows world history. It shows the way the world turned about 500 years ago, because you have the ingredients of the Americas, which is tapioca, which comes from cassava, and you have the pineapple, and that is from Latin America, and they are combined with old world ingredients like wheat flour, which is originally from the Mediterranean, and butter, which is from milk and cows. Just don't forget that cows are not from the Americas. They were brought over with the colonists. I love reading ingredient lists because for me, it reads like a history book. You see ingredients from here, you see ingredients from there, and they're put together into the dish that we all love. I just adore food history. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You know I am posting a new video every week. I've been a little slow because we've been working on the studio and we're gonna be working on the air conditioning for a while. But I'm here, never doubt. So make sure you subscribe and follow me along on my great adventures here in the kitchen. You know, if you have any questions or any requests, you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Message me at help@kitchenwrangler.com. I am here to answer any questions you might have or show you any recipe that you might be curious about. I'm Melissa Guerra, I am the Kitchen Wrangler, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here at the ranch again soon. Bye now.